Hello guys, and welcome back to our second podcast on Master Whovians, which we're currently calling Mondas Musings. And we've got a very special guest coming up later on. It's Philip Morris. He's found Evil of the Daleks and he's going to talk to us about it.
It's under our table.
The special guest is putting his middle fingers up at me now, so...
we should call it Macro Musings.
Yeah, Macros... Yeah, we should, yeah.
When we eventually get around to watching it. Let's put that as a title.
So what are we going to talk about before we introduce this guest, or are we just going to introduce him now? How do podcasts work?
How's your day been, Pete?
Yeah, not bad. It's been a long day. I've been in uni since 9, so it's now it'll be 9 by the time I finish as well. So. But
you had a Subway, so.
I had a Subway, so I feel a bit more rejuvenated now. I feel like
of the world.
I was falling asleep before, but I'm better now. Yes, are we ready to go?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Cool. We're gonna bring our special guest on. You ready? Drum roll, please. From somewhere in the middle of nowhere, I don't know what the thing is. He'll know. Here he is. It's Adam. Cool.
Hello.
That was a very, anticlimactic.
It was. I was waiting for the Geeks Handbag.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, I had too much kind of control to sort out. So Adam, Geeks Handbag.
Yeah.
What do you want me to call you? Adam, Geeks Handbag. Do you not mind?
Adam's fine. I'll answer to most things.
Okay. Okay. So what we're going to do on this podcast is talk about how we became fans, and we're going to just kind of ramble on for a bit about Doctor Who and everything, and see where it takes us, see what the discussion goes into, and see if we come out any wiser or...
better human beings.
Yeah, probably not, but we'll see what happens.
Well, thanks for putting that music in my head, because I'd literally only just got it out. that music, the macro music, because I've just finished rewatching it as well, and I tell you, it's really difficult to get that out of your head. Yeah, so thanks for that.
I've not watched it yet.
I know. I can't believe you guys haven't watched it. You've got it though, right?
No, not yet. Because what I'm doing is
right.
I've got my driving test coming up, so I'm gonna wait until I've passed that, and I don't care how long it takes me to pass it. But if I pass it next year, I'm not gonna watch Macro until I've passed it. That's my thing, to keep me going. So we'll see. Hopefully, I'll see it in the next few months. My test's on 1st of May, so if I pass that, then I'll see it on 1st of May. But
so you mean this is like sort of motivation? This is like a dangling macro carrot, in the front of your car to get you to pass you. Yeah. So when you pass, you're going to treat yourself to macro.
Yeah. And then I'll never get in a car again after that, because But so let's start off. I guess talking about how we became fans. We'll start off with Adam, I guess.
How I became a fan?
Yeah.
Of Doctor Who?
Yeah.
I just remember, literally, I don't think I've ever not been watching it. I just have really vivid memories of being sat in front of my parents' TV as like a really, really small kid. And I've got memories, but I'm not really, they all get a bit built up, because I always think the first thing I ever saw was the Melker from Keeper of Charkin. That's the sort of first thing I remember seeing. But I'm sort of thinking, I'm not sure that's true, because I'm sort of putting how old I would have been in years, and I'm thinking, well, was that?
You're only 21, aren't you? So
yeah, I'm only 21, so I just don't know how that's possible. but I do very definitely remember being in my nan's front room and seeing the regeneration from Tom to Peter. And I'd imagine, and I can't really remember because that's obviously going back a while, but I can imagine I would have been cross for not being at home watching that. I'm trying to think why I was at my nan's, but I know I was, and I remember noisy family.
Sounds like a fan thing, that being annoyed that you weren't at home.
Well, I can just imagine me, being there thinking, everyone be quiet, I'm trying to watch Doctor Who sort of thing. But I can't remember, it's going back a while, but I do remember that. So, but it's just, I tell you, something about the TARDIS absolutely fascinated me as a kid. That's what got me into being a fan, and I have no doubt about that, because that's the thing I clearly remember is the police box logo, and I'm thinking sort of Logopolis is also a very early memory, because I can clearly sort of see the blue sign with the big white writing, you know what I mean, from that story. And when I watch it, I know that's what I saw as a kid, and the shrinking TARDIS absolutely blew my mind. So I think I've got to thank Logopolis really for getting me into Doctor Who, because that's, although the Melker's like the first thing I remember, the shrinking TARDIS and Logopolis and the cloister room with the vines, I kind of have quite clear memories of that. And I just loved it. As I said, the Shrinking TARDIS, I just can remember absolutely being fascinated by that as a kid. And I just never left it. Honestly, I just never left Doctor Who. I've watched it ever since. Even through bits where I didn't think it was that good, I've always had this passion for Doctor Who. So throughout my whole life, basically.
Did you get a little bit choked up watching Legopolis on the big screen then? If that was like your earliest?
I'll tell you what, I didn't, because I've watched it so many times. I've watched it so many times because it's a story I love, and it's probably because it is one of the first ones I remember. I got choked up when they showed one of the behind the scenes, it's an interview with Tom, and he was getting really emotional about the fact it was his last story and leaving. That choked me up because I've seen many interviews with Tom over the years, and he's always, he's got so many great stories, Tom, and he's really good at telling them. But he can sometimes sort of, he seems to in recently sort of be quite candid in his interviews. He's a lot more sort of honest, if that makes sense. Like you could see he was, rather than sort of making a joke of it and sort of glossing over it. Yes, it was my last story and this happened, being all sort of jovial. He seems to be really reflective these days in interviews, like the one he did with Matthew Sweet on the Series 12 Blu-ray. He's so honest and candid in it. So that got me. So not actually watching Legopolis, but just watching Tom and just seeing him, talk about it and being so moved by it and stuff like that. That kind of got me, yeah. And it was amazing to see on the big screen. So we saw it at the BFI on the South Bank, and that was a treat because it's such a special story to me. I think that was a real treat to see it on the big screen.
It's a great place, isn't it? The BFI as well. Great place to watch it.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I tell you, I just can't. I actually get really bad withdrawal symptoms from like the day after. So I love those events so much because not just because of watching Doctor on the big screen, but there's become sort of quite a good social group, and I see the same people at every event, and we always get together afterwards at the bar and chat. And what did you think, especially after Macra, because it was I think a lot of us, obviously we'd never seen the animation before, so it was a bit different. Whereas with Legopolis, we kind of all seen it before, but it was nice to see it on the big screen. With Macra, it was different because none of us had seen the animation until that point. So it's become a real big social thing, the BFI for me, and I absolutely love it. And yeah, the following day, I sort of wake up and think, oh no, what have I got to look forward to now? Yeah. I need another one. Yeah, when's the next box out? When's the next premiere? So yeah, they are great events, really, really good.
Yeah, we're hoping that we can come to one at some point, but it's just the travel. Travel just kills.
We were debating.
I know, I know. That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, it's like I was looking at Wales Comic Con because they announced David and Billy and stuff, and some really great guests.
And he's the only one you've not met as well, isn't he? Or
he's the only living Doctor I haven't met. Yeah. So I missed out at LFCC because it was chaos. They announced him on the day I was there, and I just couldn't get through on the phone. So I'd love to meet David, but like you just said, it's the travel. The cost of travel is so expensive. It just kind of kills.
The price is ridiculous, isn't it?
Well, he's 80, isn't he?
Is it? Oh yeah, but it's still ridiculous, isn't it?
So yeah, well, I think it's creeping up and up and up. I mean, I would pay 80 for a photo with David.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you guys, but I'm more of a photo. I love an autograph. I love to get the two. I love to get a photograph and an auto. But if I could only get one,
I'd say photo.
I always go for photo because I think it's
more proof you met him, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's nicer. Like you can put it on the wall, and it's a picture of you with them. And I'd always go for photo. So, what about you, Dan? Are you more photo or auto?
Oh, it depends on this. I used to be very much an auto guy, but I have been moving towards photographs. I've got very low self-esteem, so I don't like photos of myself.
Well, that one of you and Colin Baker that you don't like.
Oh, the one from years ago. Yeah. I'm super fat.
No, see, I'm so vain. I just like when I was going to LSCC, a few people were asking for photos with me and stuff, and I was just like, yeah, of course, and I was loving it. And then
I've been better now, but it's always.
Scary was laughing at me. It's like, God, you're so vain. I said, I know, I don't have any problems with having my photo taken, but I'm trying to think why we got into that discussion because I think I'd asked someone for. I know James Goss, the author,
writer,
writer, really, really nice guy. He doesn't particularly like having his photo taken. And I didn't know this until I bumped into him in Forbidden Planet recently.
Yeah.
And I had a lovely chat with him. Really nice chat. We're talking about Scratchman and stuff, and he's there with his partner and stuff. And then so I said, anyway, I'll leave you guys to it because I don't want to interrupt your shopping, but can I get a quick picture with you? And he kind of, went into his shell, and his partner was laughing at him, and I was like, oh, do you not want to? Because that's fine. He's like, oh, no, go on. Just, he'll take the mickey out of me, but go on. So he did. And I was always saying, I always find it really strange when people don't like their photo being taken. Or not strange, but it's so different to me. I think I'm just so full of myself. I'm just like, I'm up for any photos anyway. And I just love it.
Strange, Adam. Is that what's going down here?
Yeah, pretty much, Dan. Yeah. No, I just think it's such an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Photography. And I take millions and millions of photos. My phone is constantly full, constantly drives me mad saying, there's no room on it. Because I just think it's just an amazing thing to capture a moment on camera. So I just can't get enough of it. And not that I find people strange that don't, but I don't know. I'm just so opposite to that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I've changed since Warp. I haven't getting more of them. I like talking to people a lot though. So like, I don't know, sometimes autographs, you get more time with them. With
True.
the bigger guests, you don't get time with them in either. So it's...
In the photo shoots, you hardly, you literally, it's like a second, isn't it? I remember when I got the Benedict Cumberbatch photo shoot at LFCC a couple of years back, and I've never gone through a photo shoot so quick in my life. I was convinced that I'd have my eyes half shut because we would just push through it so quickly. Yeah, you did. I don't even remember.
They always do a good job of them though, don't they? I mean, I was at the Peter Davison one at Warp. And luckily, I think he had to change the camera over just as I walked up to Peter Davison. So I got like maybe a minute or two to talk to him, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think photos are worth more to me, really. I don't know.
How did you find Peter, by the way?
I liked him because I know Dan had seen him before, and Dan hadn't got on with him.
What was a big changer for me for Davison because I met him ages ago in Bolton.
Yeah.
And he was just so quiet and very like I don't know, he seemed very aloof, if that makes sense. He just didn't seem like he was interested in being there. And then I met him at Warp, and he was wonderful. We had a pretty good conversation when I met him earlier in the day for an autograph. Then later on, I walked past and there wasn't a queue there, and he was talking about directing the Five Doctors in a talk I went to, and because I like directing, I just went and sat down with him and had a chat with him for ages about directing. Yeah. So I've just completely changed my mind on him now. So I guess it depends on the day.
Yeah, it totally does. And we all have our off days. I understand that, but I've experienced that as well. Both sides of like, I've met him and he's been, like you said, really quiet and just didn't seem to want to engage. And then the last time I met him, he was fantastic, But I've heard that for a few people about Davison. So I think maybe he's just a bit. Depends what day you catch him on. Have either of you guys read his autobiography?
I've got it. I haven't read it yet.
Because there's a brilliant chapter right near the end where he lists 5 things he loves about doing conventions and 5 things he hates about doing conventions. I think
I've read that bit, yeah.
Yeah, and that really kind of, when you read that, it kind of makes sense when you meet him. One of the things he hates is people who come up to him dressed as Tom Baker as the Fourth Doctor, which I was surprised about.
I think I was dressed as Jodie on that day, so.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing the pictures from that day. Yeah.
That was a great day.
You rocked that look, Dan.
Thank you.
And that was before Jodie had gone out as well, wasn't it? That was September, so.
I don't care what you guys think. I'm going to keep wearing it. Adam said I rocked it, so.
You rocked it, Dan. Who did you dress up as, Pete? Were you a Silurian or what were you? Sea Devil?
I don't dress up, Adam.
That's not true. I've seen some of your videos where you're.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Don't give me all that.
I've done a Yeti. I've done a Easter rabbit. I've done a few. For various things. I did a music video as a rabbit. I didn't just decide to dress up as a rabbit.
That's, right.
He does that sometimes.
Yeah. So obviously before you were talking about being a fan. I just wondered kind of like how was it during those years when it wasn't on? Was that like difficult or?
I remember it was strange because I did get into Big Finish quite early on. I remember like buying Cyrus the Time, the first release, when it came out. So I kind of had Big Finish to keep me going. But the hardest time for me was actually the last sort of season with McCoy because or the last 2 actually. So from Remembrance onwards.
Yeah.
I remember. Because I was still at school, and I remember going in and because when you're passionate about something, I remember I was so passionate about Doctor Who, And I remember going into school, and I absolutely loved Remembrance. When it went out. So sort of by episode 2, I was going in, trying to get all my friends to watch it again, like you do, even though they're not gonna. But you're like, oh, it's really good. You guys should start watching it again. It's it's back to being good again, and the stories are good, and McCoy's a good doctor, and all this. And I was so it was hard because it was just such a joke. When I was at school, I can remember people literally laughing about it, because I'd have like the Doctor Who bookmark.
Cookbook.
What do I mean? No, not the cookbook. I never got the cookbook.
Yeah.
I want the but I had sort of Doctor Who gloves and things like that, and quite embarrassing looking back. But I was such the Doctor Who geek back then, and it really wasn't cool to be a Doctor Who fan, and B, it wasn't really cool to be geeky. Geeky's become quite a sort of cool thing to be these days, isn't it? But back then it so wasn't. You know what I mean? And so that was hard, because like when you love a show, and everyone else is just ripping it to pieces, and you're sort of thinking, I was watching like McCoy's second season and the last season, thinking there's some great stuff here, like I really wish people were giving this more attention, sort of thing. And it just felt like it was dying in the public sort of domain, if you like. And that was quite hard as a Doctor Who fan. And then we got the movie, which was again a strange time, because it was seen to be floating around in the ether for years, for ages before I actually got to see it. So I was aware that it was made, and I knew it was to do with America and all, and it just.
So did you not watch it when it went out then? Did you watch it a few months?
Yeah,
or years
but I'd
after?
already got the video, because they released the video, if my memory serves me correctly. They released it before it came out.
Yeah, I think it
So
came out in America, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it came out in America. Then they released the video, and then they showed it on TV. I think that's how I remember it anyway.
Yeah.
So because I'm sure I was sat there thinking, oh, I kind of have already seen this, but I'm going to watch it anyway because it's on TV. But it didn't feel special at the time at all. I mean, I liked the movie, but in terms of it didn't seem to get much promotion from what I remember. It didn't feel like Doctor Who's coming back and this could be a big thing. It just felt like, oh, there's a Doctor Who special on next Thursday if anyone wants to watch it. And you know what I mean? I don't remember a big buzz.
Did you ever think it would turn into a series, or was that never anything that you thought was going to happen?
I assumed it would be. Yeah, I just assumed it was like the first, and then next, there'd be a series to follow it. But as I said, it kind of happened.
Faded away.
Yeah, and it faded really, really quick, and everyone it kind of got forgotten about for a while. So that's why I'm so glad that Big Finish picked up McGann, because they'd done a great job with him, and he's awesome on Big Finish. And the little special we got, Night of the Doctor, I think he was fantastic in that 6-7 minutes. You know what I mean? So I still think he's a great Doctor, even though he's got very limited screen time, if you like. Do you guys like the movie? What do you think of it?
I quite like it. Yeah, we did a review, didn't we, ages ago, Dan?
Oh yeah, years ago.
Yeah. I quite like it.
I do enjoy it. It's not one that I watch regularly, though. I only normally watch it if I'm doing some kind of marathon that involves it. But no, I do enjoy it for what it is. It's quite American.
Yeah, I've always really liked the music in it, actually.
Yeah.
It's got a style to itself, I think.
It's got a chase scene with the ambulance.
It's when I was thinking.
I used to find the bit where it's McGann, isn't it? It's not McCoy at that point. It's McGann pulls out the thing from his chest.
Oh yeah.
I used to find that terrifying as a kid.
You on about that bit of wire?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always, even as a kid, when I first watched it, I've always hated that bit.
Yeah. No, I don't like that. Yeah.
Because it seems to go on for quite. He keeps pulling it out, and it's like, oh, we don't need to see that.
Yeah.
That felt a little bit gratuitous, I thought. I never got the snake, I must admit. I mean, I don't mind Eric Roberts' Master, but I never kind of got the snake thing. I think that didn't relate. I couldn't sort of put the snake and the Master together, sort of thing. In that kind of threw me a little. But last time I watched it, and I'll admit it's been a while actually, I did enjoy it. I felt it had definitely had the potential to go on for a series, but I don't know how that would have worked. I don't know. I think it would have gone two ways if they'd have done a full series. I think it might have been quite good, but it could have also really crashed and burnt. Do you know what I mean? I just don't know where they would have gone with it. But
I think the issue with the movie for me is that, well, the issue with the movie in general is that it kind of, for new fans, you have McCoy for 25 minutes and then he regenerates. And if you don't know the series, it's all right for us guys, you know what I mean? But if you don't know the series, it's quite random. It's like if McGann had regenerated into Eccleston halfway through Rose or halfway through Series 1, I think it'd be a bit random, wouldn't it? I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people feel like that it's, it concentrates too much on the regeneration. So maybe, first time viewers would have been alienated by that. And I think that's true to an extent. The regeneration does seem to go on quite a long time for the film. I mean, I don't know, where does McCoy rank on your sort of Doctor's list? Is he one that you rate highly, or?
Well, when I was a kid, my dad kind of always got me into the mindset that he was the worst one ever. So I kind of grew up thinking he was the worst one ever. And then as time went by and I kind of watched his episodes, I actually quite like him. There's definitely some duds in there. I'm not a massive fan of like Paradise Towers, and I think Ghostlight's very overrated. But yeah, I think he's quite good.
What about you, Dan?
That's the same thing with my dad. Because I guess they were both.
God, what's going on with your dads?
My dad still is convinced that McCoy's the worst, but I guess we'll come on to it more when we talk about becoming fans and things. But Remembrance was the first like classic story I watched, so that's always been that's always close to my heart. So just McCoy in general, I love, and like I just have fond memories of his episodes because I love them. From watching
and
them.
The thing was, I remember as a kid I grew up with the DVD shelf that my dad had, because I didn't used to buy DVDs, my dad bought them, and we had a few Hartnells, a few Troughtons, etc, etc. And as it goes along, there was only one Colin Baker and one McCoy. It was two Doctors in Remembrance. So for years all I saw was those two, and I used to think, how come I've only got one of each of those Doctors? Are they really that bad? And then obviously I got into the other ones, and I think they're both great on Big Finish as well. I mean, Colin Baker I think is great as well.
Oh, I think Colin's awesome on Big Finish. Yeah. I mean, they all are. I mean, the reason I asked that is because I wondered how you felt about, the Doctor's exit in the movie. Because that, again, it's something that I really like McCoy in it, but he really just is there just to get shot.
Yeah.
And I always think it's a bit of a shame because I like the costume they've given him as well. A friend of mine was saying the other day he really doesn't like the outfit he's wearing in that. But what do you think about the fact he does just sort of walk out the TARDIS and get shot and then that's it? But I still think he gives quite a good performance, like the bit where he's on the operating table and he keeps waking up and all that stuff. I still think there's some great stuff from McCoy. And I love when he sat listening to the record and all that. It just really suits his Doctor. But but I don't know if it's the best send-off. I don't because I really like the Seventh Doctor. I love the Seventh Doctor, actually. I really like his era. Even some of the dud stories, as you know, like Time of the Ride in Paradise Towers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't really like it when he steps out and gets shot. I don't really think that's the sort of way I would have liked to have seen him written out. But
see, I kind of like it, but I'm not sure if it's intentional. It's kind of like my own thing I've built up, because one of the things I love about Seven is he's such especially near the end, he was like this kind of mastermind planner.
Manipulator.
Yeah. He had like everything planned out.
And it's ironic, isn't it?
And then suddenly he just steps out the TARDIS on Earth, something he's done a million times, just gets shot and wasn't expecting it. It's like he just couldn't plan for that. The
thing that always makes me laugh about that, though, is that like the Hartnell stories, they spend about 15 minutes every episode checking the scanner, checking everything, and then McCoy walks out, doesn't check anything. It's like, it's your own fault, mate. Like,
yeah, that's true. And also, I'll tell you another thing I've noticed about, like, if you watch the early Doctor Who's, like, especially Hartnell.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the first episode when he takes Barbara and Ian away because they've seen the ship.
Yeah.
The TARDIS is like, right, you've seen it all, you know too much. And he
should take the gang away, shouldn't he? The whole gang that shot him, he should just take them away with him.
Well, I'm just thinking later on in Doctor Who, he invites people in the TARDIS every 2 minutes. Like, Davison, for example, in Black Orchid. Yeah, come and have a look at the TARDIS. It's really cool, It's like the Doctor's attitude to people seeing the ship changes quite dramatically.
Well, it's like Matt Smith. Matt Smith used to always go on about how he was an alien to everyone, didn't he? And you just think William Hartnell wouldn't have done that because he was trying to keep it a secret.
Yeah, true.
But I suppose it's just different production teams, isn't it? Just changing.
It just, things change.
I suppose the other thing is as well, you wouldn't want every first episode of every series to be basically an explanation of everything we've already seen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's alright every few series, but I suppose
it's got to be a progression, definitely. I mean, you can't. Yeah, especially. I mean, I think that's why it's lasted as long as it has. The fact it's still going, actually, because it has changed and moved with the times a bit and stuff. So, but so am I to take it that both of you, because we're talking about how we got into Doctor Who? So, you guys, did you get into it because your family watched it then, or because it sounds almost like your dad was telling you not to watch it? But how did you guys get into it then?
Well, I'll go first unless Dan wants to talk. So my dad was a massive fan. He kind of got into it, I think, probably around the same time as you, Adam. I think the first thing he remembers is Destiny of the Daleks. But I think he only saw that one. Then the next one he saw was Castrovalva, I think. So he started properly from Castrovalva. Because I think his mum, my grandma, didn't let him watch it because it was too violent. Because of the Mary whatever she's called, Mary Whitehouse.
Mary Whitehouse, yeah.
She.
I can see it in my mind's eye. She used to say.
Yeah. So he was never allowed to watch it. So I think it was around the time Castrovalva was out. He was a bit older. I think he was away on holiday with my auntie, and they had a hotel room to do, like, right, we can put the TV on, we can watch Doctor Who or something. I think this is the story. And then so obviously he followed it from Castrovalva right to the end. He went to conventions in kind of like the wilderness years, and he got into all the old stuff, and then kind of because I was born in 2000, so obviously it was off. He kind of got me into it. I think literally from like probably the week I was born, he was showing me the old VHS tapes of it, and
brainwashing you.
Yeah. So I got into, and the earliest kind of clip I remember is a clip from, I think, Planet of the Daleks, where Dalek kind of like goes up a shaft or drops down a shaft, I think.
Yeah.
So I remember that, and I've got this other weird memory of Colin Baker's Doctor rolling down some stairs and then regenerating, which I think was probably from something like Dead Ringers or something like that. I think.
Yeah.
I think I probably got muddled up in my head, and you know what I mean?
Don't know what that would have been.
Neither do I. If someone can find that, if someone's listening to this and they know what that is. But maybe I got that muddled up with something else. And then I remember John Culshaw doing a Tom Baker on Dead Ringers. That's one of my earliest memories. So there's a few. This weird stage of kind of the wilderness years. And then one last thing was, I remember in school we watched this program called, we'll come on to this, me and Dan.
You're stealing my story.
Right, I'll let Dan say that one, okay? And then I watched it when it came back in 2005, and it was you know what I loved about it? It was a real family thing. We all used to sit down and watch it, and especially during the Russell year. I'll be honest with you, I kind of went off it when Moffat came in a little bit, because we didn't watch it as a family anymore when Moffat came in. We probably did a year or two, and then after that it kind of faded off. And that's why I kind of, whenever I think of that era, Matt Smith era, I don't really rate it as highly, because I always think that's kind of the era that took the family viewing away from me, and that's what I associate with Doctor Who. But looking back, I mean, I like Matt Smith. I look back and I do like it, but I can't. It doesn't have that nostalgia. I mean, I did watch it, but I kind of went off it a little bit. I think I've stopped watching it for a few episodes around that stage. So, for me as a fan, it wasn't the best time Matt Smith's era. So
you watched Rose when it went out on transmission?
Yeah.
And how old would you have been then?
4. So I remember. Oh, okay. But I've got this weird memory that I remember my dad telling me on the day Rose went out. There's this new show you'll like. I've never told you about it before, but here it is. But looking back, I remember that he had showed me stuff of it. So obviously that's another mixed memory. But it's weird that you get these mixed memories of how you got into it, and weird kind of, like you say with the Melker, you kind of remember that one vivid image in your head, and it's weird, isn't it? But
can you remember what your dad thought of it? If he was a fan, can you remember if he approved of, like, because it was quite a big thing for us Doctor Who fans when Rose aired. I think we were all thinking, is this going to be like how we remember it? Is it going to be new? What's it going to be like? Can you remember if he sort of said, "Oh, that was good," or "Oh, that wasn't quite Doctor Who," or can you remember how he felt about it?
We love it.
So you loved it right from the word go.
I mean, yeah. For me, I love the classics, and I'll always love classics more than the new stuff. But for me, Russell's era is my era, and me and my dad, we kind of, it's not that nostalgia, like I say, of we used to watch that as a family. And it just takes me back to being there, and that's what I love about that era. And I've got this kind of weird memories of, like, I remember not being able to watch Unquiet Dead when it went out because my parents thought it was going to be too scary for me, and I think Tooth and Claw as well.
Tooth and Claw was quite scary, actually, at the beginning.
With the monks.
The thing in the cage, that was quite scary.
Yeah. But I've just been a fan ever since, and I feel like at this point, I don't think I could give it up even if I wanted to, you know what I mean? It gets to the point, I think, after a while where it's like I keep saying, it's this nostalgia thing of it's so deep in me now that I can't, it's part of me.
Yeah, I know.
I think we'll pass over to Dan now to talk about how he became a fan, and I'm just going to say 2 words: Magic Grandad, which is also one of the things I got into it with.
That's a weird way to start it off.
Magic Grandad.
It was the BBC, so.
Well, yeah. So I found out about Doctor Who in school when they showed us this program called Magic Grandad, which was this
not as dodgy as it sounds.
No, it was this weird program about a granddad takes his kids back in time. It sounds very
played by
already.
Jeffrey Baildon, actually, I think.
And he'd teach them about history. It was like an educational program, and there was one episode that was about 60s toys. So it touched on the Daleks. And it just showed all of these clips from old black and white Doctor Who, and I vividly
Power of the Daleks, I think, isn't it?
Vividly remember it was the conveyor belt scene from Power of the Daleks.
Oh yeah.
And And I was like, whoa, check, because I've always loved like Star Wars and stuff. It's like, whoa, look at these robots and things. I remember going home and telling my dad about. No, actually, sorry, I went home, didn't mention it because I'd kind of drifted down my head. But then that night was the night that the Series 1 trailer came on.
Oh, those trailers were brilliant as well.
Yeah, with the fire behind Eccleston.
Oh,
do you want to come with me?
I remembered it, and I went and told my dad about it. It's like, oh, Dad, this program is a thing. I'm super excited about it. And he it turns out he was a fan. Not quite to the extent of Pete's dad, but he watched it as a kid. And then I don't think I watched Rogue. I think it was either I've Been Aliens in London or Dalek that I came in with. Because I do vividly remember Dalek. And then me and my dad have been watching it ever since.
Yeah. But I think you kind of went off it a little bit during the Capaldi stuff, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because I remember you didn't watch the episodes until a few days or a few weeks after for some of them, didn't you?
No, I'd still do that now, to be honest. Because
you're busy.
I've got so much going on with uni and work.
Which series was that where you sort of drifted off a bit?
That would have been
Series 8.
Yeah. That was mostly just down to the writing. I was thinking when you said about you drifting off with Matt Smith, I was the opposite. I became more of a fan with Smith because 2010 when that aired, that was like the Easter rather, when I left primary school and started high school. And like, you know what kids are like, they suddenly everybody wants to fit in, and like if you do anything slightly nerdy or different, you're weird and you're bullied for it. So suddenly, like, Doctor Who had gone from this cool thing, and then David Tennant left. Everybody hated it, and everybody was like, "Don't be weird." And I was watching this guy on screen who was just being like, "Yeah, I'm quirky, I'm wacky, and I don't care. I'm just gonna be myself." And I just latched onto that, and it just kind of taught me, it's okay to be yourself and do what you want, and that's kind of something I've stuck by ever since. So Matt's kind of, even though I watched Eccleston David, I always think of Matt as my doctor because he's the one who kind of taught me a lot about life in that developmental stage or something.
Yeah. I think it's, because obviously the week we're recording this, I'm not sure when this will be going out, but the week we're recording it is the 14th anniversary of New Who, isn't it?
It is.
A few days ago.
Yeah.
And I kind of got a bit nostalgic and I started thinking about how much it has changed my life. I don't want to get too emotional here, but I guess I wouldn't be going to uni and doing TV and radio if it wasn't for Doctor Who, and I wouldn't know Dan if it wasn't for Doctor Who. So yeah, it would be a better world. Wow. And like even like I was looking at the pictures of the Tom Baker event where we met you, Adam, and it was just that glorious sunny day of and going to the pub. It was great, wasn't it? And
yeah, it was. Yeah,
and just you think that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't got into the show, or if my dad hadn't got into it.
Yeah, it does always amaze me actually how much influence and stuff it does have on people's lives. This TV show, from 1963, I still, when I stop and think about that, find it incredible. And and I'm just have to echo what you just said. The amount of people that I know because of Doctor Who, if I stop and think about it, is actually quite mind-blowing, really. And I suppose it comes back to what I was saying about the BFI event. Sort of my social life is sort of 90% Doctor Who, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's the sort of Doctor Who family and social side of it as well. It is a sort of a beast of its own, I think.
Yeah. So what does your other half think of Doctor Who then? Does he like it or?
He has to like it.
Yeah.
No, he does like it. Yeah, he's nowhere near like a fan like me. I think actually when we first started dating, I think he knew what Doctor Who was, but I don't think he'd watched many, because I have sort of I remember sort of like early on in our sort of relationship, when he'd come and visit me, he'd say, right, what Doctor Who we watch today. So I was sort of trying to select good episodes to get him into it, to introduce him to it.
What did you show him then?
So, well, actually, in the end, I just sort of went through the whole series, because I remember I started with Eccleston actually, because I still think some of his stories are really strong. So I think I might have gone in with something like The Empty Child, Dr. Dances, because I love that two-parter. I can't really remember, but yeah, I mean, he, of course, loved the Tennant era. I think that is the most accessible era for anyone you're trying to get into Doctor Who. And he did like the Matt Smith era. So over the years, he's got into it. And when a new series starts, we always sort of watch it together. Did you not watch it as a kid, sorry? No, because he was born in somewhere near Beijing, so I don't.
Oh, right.
He probably hadn't heard of Doctor Who until he came over here. But yeah, he likes it, but he's not a mega fan. He's I think he would like to have a few less TARDIS toys in the house, really.
Never have
a few
enough.
more ornaments, but no, it's full of Doctor Who stuff. So
it takes over your life, doesn't it?
I do. Yeah, we progressed on to Torchwood as well. Because I remember thinking, like, I couldn't wait for him to see Children of Earth, because I really like that series, and I thought, I know his, I'd got to know him a bit by then, so I knew the sort of stuff he would like, and I thought he's gonna love Children of Earth, because it's really creepy and it's got a good concept, and he'll really get into that, because he's all about stories. I mean, one thing he used to say about the Matt Smith era is that he loved Matt, but the stories were a bit weak at times and stuff. So I thought, but yeah, he wasn't overly impressed with Children of Earth, which was a bit of a shocker. And it's always really, when you're sort of certain that someone's going to love something, and then they don't. It's that sort of feeling of, oh, I thought he'd really like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, it was all right. But yeah, anyway, he sticks with it, and we were quite enjoying Series 11 for the first couple, and. He was watching it with me, but it was quite sad to see, like, in terms of it was holding his attention, But I remember the Sananga conundrum. I remember sort of looking across the room and seeing it had lost him, and I was I could sort of feel the, getting annoyed at that point, thinking, no, this series is losing us both, but more him.
Yeah.
Because for a start, it was a little bit like the sort of David Tennant years of we were both watching it together and actually sort of enjoying the stories together. But yeah, I could see that he drifted out towards the middle of Series 11, as did I, to be fair.
Well, that's what I felt with my family. When Jodie started, we watched them all like we had during the Russell years. And it was great. The first few we really enjoyed, but then, as you say, as it went on a little bit, we kind of, it started off with all five of us watching it as we used to do, and then I think by the finale it was just me and my dad watching it, and it was just kind of a bit like, it's. We won't talk about Series 11 too much on this, because I know we want to stay away from that. But that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, it was just that sort of that sense of, like you said, of actually sitting down together and watching it again, and not sort of forcing them to sit, like, say, no, you will, because I want to watch it. It was the fact he actually wanted to watch it was quite nice. But I was sort of sad to see that drift off, and by the final, like I think I was watching it on my own.
when Billy Piper was in it, and like my mum used to get excited about it. And my mum's never been like massively into Doctor Who. Remember, we took her to a convention in I think 2012 to meet Colin Baker, and she hated it. But like during the Russell years, I don't think she got excited about it, but she used to sit down and she used to enjoy watching like David Tennant coming back in Journey's End, and like something that she actually understood from start to finish. And I suppose we kind of lost that with Matt Smith, but that's only my side of it. Maybe your family's.
I think a lot of people drifted off with Matt, and I always found that such a shame, because I think Matt's a fantastic Doctor. I absolutely adore Matt, actually, as the Doctor. Yeah. But I do agree that his stories became less accessible, and I just know from talking to people that sort of were what you might call casual viewers that's where they drifted off, because they just found I don't think it was Matt particularly, but they just found his era less accessible to just sit down and sort of switch off for an hour, and they kind of had to concentrate, if you like, which I think. As a Doctor Who fan, I didn't mind so much, because that kind of reminded me more of the classic era, that it's a bit more in depth and you kind of got to really get into it.
Yeah.
But it was, I definitely think a lot of people drifted off during Matt's era, and it is a shame, because I love his Doctor, but I can sort of see why. I think Russell managed to get a great balance between sort of entertainment and also satisfying Doctor Who fans, casual viewers, families, and I don't know, there was just something about the Tennant era. I think that they just sort of managed to tick a lot of boxes and get a lot of stuff right.
I think he was like eye candy for the ladies as well, wasn't he, at the time?
What, Tennant?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
So was Matt.
Yeah. Oh, poor Matt. But I just think, like, I think that the Tennant era will be seen as the glory years for a while. And I know that annoys a lot of people, but I think it's when, like you said, a lot of families, like, for example, the Christmas specials.
Yeah.
Like, the first few Tennant ones, I can remember sitting and watching it with my family on Christmas Day. And and we always have big family gets-togethers at Christmas. So, you couldn't really hear it, but they were sort of watching it. And I do remember that tailed off big time during the Moffat's era.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't even get a look in on Christmas Day. It would just be there in the background. No one was interested or, really watching it. So yeah, it definitely as I say, when I say the glory years, I think it's just that they got a lot of stuff right.
I think it's like the Tom Baker years of the new stuff, isn't it? Really, I think a lot of people, and I think a lot of people. It's kind of obviously because they got into it with Eccleston when it came back. I think a lot of people it's like their first Doctor or like their childhood Doctor, so it means a lot to them, I guess. Like Tom Baker and John Pertwee did back in the day.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And if you listen to Russell on the commentaries on Eccleston's Series 1, he just says that he's just sort of amazed, really, that it came together as well as it did, because he says, they didn't really have a clue what they wanted to do or where they were going, or and all the stuff that was going wrong with Chris behind the scenes and all that stuff. So when I watched Series 1, I think, because I absolutely love Eccleston's series, I do think it's incredible actually how it is just a brilliant series in my opinion. I don't think
when you consider the issues that happen behind the scenes as well.
Yeah,
it comes out great, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think, as I said, I think even Russell's just amazed how well the finished product came out, because there was so much going on behind the scenes, and they were really sort of finding their feet as well. Yeah. And yet, it's probably one of my, it's definitely up there as one of my favourite series since the show come back. I love Series 1. I could happily watch any episode from that series. Some are better than others, but there's not one dud, I don't think. Even The Long Game possibly is the only sort of, I would say, below par, if you like. But even that I find very watchable. But yeah, I just think it's incredible they got so much right in that first series, probably without even sort of knowing what they were doing. Yeah. A lot
of people don't like Boomtown, so I quite like that. And same with, I'm not a massive fan of Unquiet Dead, but even that I think is quite good.
Yeah, Unquiet Dead, I have to be in the mood for it, but I do think it's a good story. Boomtown, again, is a strange one, isn't it? Because it's a very sort of quiet, slowed down episode, but I kind of like that.
It was written as a replacement, I think, wasn't it, for another episode?
Was that the one that Stephen Fry was meant to deliver a script, and it all fell through, and I think Russell wrote it really, really quickly. Yeah. But I love the dilemma in that. I think that's the bit I love about that story, is this sort of moral dilemma that the Doctor's put in, and it kind of makes you, every episode after that, I think it made me think about the choice the Doctor has to make every week,
life and death.
Yeah. So I think in a way it was, although it was sort of written as a replacement, I think it's quite an important story, because it does sort of bring that point home of, who is this guy that just goes around being the, lauding it and laying down the law? What right does he have? Because we don't really question that as the Doctor so much, do we? We just say he's the Doctor, he's right.
Yeah. And it's a bit of a breather, isn't it, that episode?
Yeah, Margaret Slevine's kind of questions that, doesn't she? She's like, well, who are you to do that? And that makes you as a viewer doing it. So it's quite an interesting one, Boomtown.
Yeah.
Are you not a fan?
Of Boomtown?
Yeah.
No, I love Boomtown. I think it's great.
I've not seen it in years, so I've got very little to add to this conversation.
I think it's a little bit dated. I seem to remember the Slitheen in the toilet opening up the skin suit.
Yeah.
Seems a little bit from what I remember. But my brother used to say it was his favourite episode back in the day, that and School Reunion. So, yeah.
Yeah. I just like the little egg at the end. That funny little egg.
Yeah, I remember that.
Ostrich egg, whatever it is. Yeah.
It's one I should revisit. Yeah, it's probably the one I've watched the least out of Series 1, I think.
Do you have a series since the show come back that you sort of don't particularly like, or you find hard going, or
8
Series
9,
8
yeah.
8 and 11 for me.
8 and 11 yeah
I didn't like I think at the time I liked it, but looking back I didn't like Capaldi's characterization in Series 8, and I hated Danny Pink. I don't think Clara's great either. I don't mind her as much. I like her better than some people.
There was nobody in Series 8 that I liked.
And Courtney, was a character called Courtney?
So there's nobody I was rooting for.
No. And it's a shame, because I think Capaldi was a great actor. I think he's probably, after Eccleston, I think he's probably the best actor to have been one of the new series Doctors.
He's a fantastic guy, and he brought it back in Series 10, but 8 and 9 just can't deal with it. 9 in places is good.
Well, I think 9's harmless. Yeah.
I struggled with 9. I haven't gone back and rewatched 9 Series 9 for a long time actually, but
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of highlights in Series 8. I mean, it is a bit of a again seemed to struggle a bit, but I think Mummy on the Orient Express is a good story.
That's
Yeah.
a good one, and I quite like.
And I liked Flatline as well.
I like
That's-
Flatline.
Yeah, Flatline Series 8, isn't it? Yeah.
I like the
So-
first part of the finale as well. I think that's really good.
What was that one?
Dark Water.
Yeah, it's weird actually. I liked Dark Water on transmission.
Yeah.
I remember thinking it was really good, and I wasn't particularly fond of Death in Heaven. But it's funny, when we went back and watched it fairly recently, it is quite a depressing story, actually, and I didn't really enjoy it as much.
I don't think I've ever said this on Master Whovians before, but do you remember how Dark Water got quite a lot of complaints? I think it was over 100 complaints. My mum was one of them. Because we watched that episode, and even I think I said to them, right, let's just turn it off. At that point, I was like, I've had enough of this. Doctor Who for me is, uplifting, it's cheery, it's trip of a lifetime, and this was just depressing, and it was.
It was, yeah. I noticed it more on a second watch for whatever reason. It was quite dark.
I find it tough actually watching that one.
It is still one that I think about, though, like the whole cremation thing. I still
creeps
think
me
about
out.
that.
And I've not, I'm in a lucky position that I've never, no one near me's ever died. I think there's one neighbour somewhere that's died that I knew, but there's been no one close to me that's sorry, no one near to me that's died.
This podcast depressing now.
So and even I find it depressing. So yeah.
It's just that whole storyline that Stephen come up with about the, being able to sense things after you're dead. I mean, it's just a disturbing.
It's
idea.
an interesting concept for It's an interesting concept. I just don't know whether it's first of all right for Doctor Who, and it goes a bit too much in depth. Than I would like.
Maybe more suited to torture.
Yeah, probably.
Or class.
Like Miracle Day. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, see, I never finished Miracle Day. That's going to be interesting when we get to that on our on the podcast I do with Gary, because that is a long old. Is that 24 episodes?
10
or something?
episodes. 10? Yeah.
God, it felt like longer. I thought I
don't mind
thought it was like 24. Yeah, I didn't finish it. I think I got halfway through.
I've
never finished it.
I prefer it to Children of Earth, actually. I just think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, we'll see when I rewatch it or actually watch it.
But going back to Death in Heaven, I preferred Death in Heaven when I first watched it. But then looking back, there's that whole thing with the cyber brig that I can't stand.
That is, to the day, the worst thing I've ever seen Doctor Who. And it's one of the few things that will genuinely get me angry.
It's just disrespectful, I think. But
I just can't believe that he sort of... he comes up with the idea, but I just can't believe he went through with it.
And the script editor didn't take it out. No one took it out. He thought it was respectful, and... I don't know.
Which series is Saigon Invasion? Is that Series 9?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I like that one. I remember liking that. Yeah.
I don't remember a lot about that, actually. I think I've only seen it probably 3 times.
The thing for me with Series 9 is there's a lot of good Part 1s and a lot of really bad Part 2s.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, which is familiar, I absolutely hate. And nobody else seems to agree with me on it.
Which is familiar?
That's the Davros one.
Yeah.
For me, that just completely, undermined Davros's character. He turns him into a bit of a joke, really. Like the conversation between him and Capaldi,
and Davros the Doctor in Davros's chair.
That could have been good, but then he pulls out Davros, he gets in the chair, and he's like, "Anyone for Dodgers?"
We've all had this exact same nightmare.
Too
and there's
silly.
a bit where Davros gets poked in the eye as well, which just seems silly.
And the opening the eyes, that's just creepy. And
that's what I was going to say to you. How did you feel about it? Because I have a friend that absolutely went ballistic when Davros. So it's a friend who's really into Big Finish. And I think it contradicted something they'd written.
No, I agree with him. Like, what was the point of the third eye if he could just open
Davros hasn't got any eyes.
Yeah, just in an accident.
I'd never have done it, and I don't think it's probably the best decision they could have done. But I think it's harmless.
And even putting aside the Davros stuff, the episode ends with just dead Dalek goo coming up through the floor and killing Dalek. That's just, I don't know. That's silly.
Oh, I've never liked the idea. It ends with the Doctor going off with Davros as a kid as well. And I kind of think that kind of just throws everything out of the window, because if the Doctor had got that opportunity to speak to Davros at that age, then he would have diverted. He would have changed his. Yeah, he wouldn't have turned out to be Davros, would he? So it says, it's a bit of a mess, that story. It's just weird because I loved Part 1 when it first went out. I just thought it was great. And then when I rewatched it, I was like, it really fell apart, if you know what I mean. All these little things, I was just like, actually, this doesn't work at all. But
I think it's weird that Missy's in that episode as well, because there's that weird bit where she pops out of the screen, isn't there?
Oh yeah, I forgot about
which
that.
is a bit random. Let's say square screen or something. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a weird one. That
I think it works in concept, and like it's a good way to build on the stuff from Genesis, but it just didn't work in execution.
Yeah, and I agree. The part 2 really falls flat, I think, in that one.
Well, I think I prefer part 2 actually.
Do you?
Yeah, because I don't like Capaldi on the tank going, "Oh, dudes."
Oh,
I just think.
Oh, yeah.
If this doctor's, especially because we just had Series 8 where he hates everyone. We go from that, and this is the Doctor that doesn't want to change time, so he walks in with a tank and a guitar, and he starts shouting dudes. I don't know.
I remember Capaldi himself saying he didn't like that scene. He was sat next to Stephen Moffat, because I was like, God, I love the fact that Capaldi's, confident enough to just speak his mind. And I think because there was obviously a respect between him and Stephen, because Stephen totally took it, and actually Stephen, no matter what you think of him, is quite honest with himself, if he doesn't get something right, and he will admit it, But yeah, I remember Capaldi sitting next to Stephen on an interview and just saying, "Yeah, I remember when I saw that in script, thinking that's just not good,
too silly."
But obviously he talked him round, or he just did it or whatever. But yeah, that's it. And it went on so long, didn't it? That's what I remember. It's just like this scene's just dying. Yeah.
Because it's quite good I think it's quite good when it gets to Scarrow, that episode, which is that little bit before, where you have that whole thing, and I find Missy quite annoying in that episode as well.
The thing is, the scene in Genesis, which I've always loved, is that bit where Davros and the Doctor just sit down.
Yes, I would do it.
Yeah. Yes, to hold in my hand. But it's because in that scene, you've got a mutual respect between the Doctor and Davros, despite the fact they're on totally opposite sides of the coin. Because the Doctor can see that Davros is a really intelligent, genius. Yeah. He might be bad and mad, but there's a respect there, and that scene is so good, and it works so well with them, two sides of the opposite coin sitting down and actually having that conversation. So, I think Moffat tried to do that with Which is Familiar, and what was the other part?
Magician's Apprentice.
Yeah, Magician's Apprentice.
Yeah, Magician's Apprentice. Two ridiculous titles, which make no sense to me. But I think he tried to do that, but what he lost was that, like I think you said it, Dan, in part 2. The Doctor's just sort of almost taking the mickey out of Davros. There's no respect there at all, if you know what I mean. So it kind of undermines Davros's character in a way, because especially when he's getting poked in the eye and thrown out of his chair. I really didn't like the bit where Davros was on the floor out of his chair. When you just see him, like, really didn't like that. So I think Moffat tried to do that sort of same thing of having the Doctor and Davros have this meaningful chat, but he just didn't get it right, in my opinion. I just didn't like the fact Davros was made out to be a bit of a joke, because he's so good in Genesis. He's so clever and so scheming, and I just didn't really get that in the two-parter.
I'm so glad I finally found someone to agree with me on that. That's my biggest struggle with Series 9. I always thought I was the only person who had anything against it. It seemed to be for a while you couldn't say anything bad about it, but
can't say anything bad about Doctor Who. Surely not. I was going to say, but who's the guy who played Davros? I've forgotten his name now. In the new
Bleach.
Julian Bleach. You see, this is the annoying thing, because I think he was actually fantastic at playing Davros. And I just
he's great in Stolen Earth as well, isn't he?
Yes, absolutely brilliant. I mean, I just sort of think, I wish, a bit like with David Bradley, I wish the material they got could have been better, because you've got somebody there who can really lay down the part, really good in the role. So, slightly frustrating.
So I suppose we've kind of moved on to like Moffat's worst mistakes in Doctor Who, or maybe just our least favourite things in Doctor Who in general, with Dark Water and Magician's Apprentice. So I suppose I should go on to my one, which is which Adam mentioned briefly then, was the first Doctor in Twice Upon a Time. That's the thing that I have an issue with, the kind of sexist character. What do you think of that, Adam?
Yeah, no, I have a big issue with it, because it's funny, because I really like David Bradley.
Yeah.
And I do like him as the first Doctor.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way he was written in Twice Upon a Time infuriated me, actually.
Yeah.
Because I love Hartnell. I absolutely love Hartnell, and I love the first Doctor.
You were quite positive about it on your review, though, weren't you? I think. Yeah,
but that's what I mean, because I think he delivered, considering the material he was given. I think he gives a really fun performance. But for me, it starts off great. I love all the stuff when he walks in and he's like, "What have you done to the TARDIS?" And he's getting all tetchy when they're chatting. He's like, "All right, enough of this," and love all that.
Yeah, and am I a doctor of war, or whatever he says. That stuff's great.
So that's quite First Doctor-ish.
Yeah.
But then he starts talking about, yes, women can be doctors too.
Clearly, Polly
And
isn't around anymore.
Yeah, and then as soon as all that starts, and then he makes, I think, the same sexist joke about 3 times in a different way.
Yeah.
That's
Aren't
when
all
I just
ladies
started
made
getting,
of glass? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it just become,
The fact
and I'm
you've
really
memorised them.
surprised that the Moffat sort of didn't really see that in his script. It's as if he just kind of felt like he was going to go down that road, whatever sort of thing. And as a fan of the First Doctor, I do find it frustrating because again, I think Bradley's really capable of delivering a good performance of the First Doctor. Not an easy thing.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's because Moffat doesn't like the 60s, because there's an interview with him somewhere I think you can find it online from the 90s where he just completely destroys the 60s episodes and says how nobody in them could act, and yeah. Oh, right. It's on there somewhere.
But where did he get that from? Because yes, Hartnell, some of the episodes you could say, oh, that's a bit un-PC, but I don't ever remember Hartnell being a sexist or racist or anything like in the program. You know what I mean? As the character, I just don't know where he got that characterization from.
I'd argue that Troughton, in some ways, is more sexist, because he's the one that tells Polly to get is it the tea and the moon base. Yeah,
but then the Third Doctor quite often said to Joe, why don't you get out of those silly... Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think the thing is, I know why he tried to do it. He thought it would be like a funny kind of like pastiche on the 60s and like, haven't we changed? Aren't we better now? But I suppose the issue with that is that I don't think that's the right way to do it. And I don't think, I think if it had been like, for example, like the soldier that had been sexist and the First Doctor had agreed with him, maybe it would have been alright, because it's not the First Doctor that's saying it. And I suppose the issue I have as well is, like, are we going to look back in 50 years' time and is someone going to have an issue with something Capaldi said? You know what I mean? And how far do you take that? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I think what I would have done for Capaldi's last episode is I would have, instead of Dave Bradley, I would have put Paul McGann in it and had a Doctor that's before the Time War and one that's after it, and compared those two.
That would have been really interesting, actually. Yeah,
because
I'd like that.
You've used McGann, instead of recasting a Doctor, which I don't think necessarily was needed. I don't know. I don't mind it. I think he's quite good as the First Doctor, but I think it would have been better to use a Doctor that, let's be honest, McGann, I don't think in 10 years' time is going to look like he did in that of the Doctor. You know what I mean? I think we're in the last few years now where we're going to be able to use him on TV if we want to. And I think it would have been a nice way to...
ageist.
I think it would have been a nice way to kind of, like I said before, like, this is a Doctor before the Time War, this is one after, and this is the 8th Doctor before he's kind of got into the Time War, and the 12th Doctor kind of tells him, like, oh, you're going to be in a war soon, and he's like, no, I'm never going to do that because I'm the romantic Doctor, and,
That would have been really good, yeah.
That would have been, actually, yeah, it would have been, because there's a scene where the 2 Doctors sit down in Twice Upon a Time. When the First Doctor 12, it's during all the Dalek stuff.
Yeah.
There's a bit where they sit down and the Doctor's like, come on then, tell me why you don't want to regenerate. And I thought, here we go, this could be a nice scene.
Yeah.
And it goes nowhere because the Dalek just shoots at them, and then that sort of lovely... You could have had a really nice scene between those 2 Doctors there, but it's just thrown out the window within seconds. And I can't... Because we don't really find out why the First Doctor does what... that's obviously intentional. They didn't want to explain it. And it's... sometimes that's good. You don't always have to explain everything. But I don't know. I just remember when they both sat down thinking, oh, we're going to get a nice little sentimental scene here, because I'm all for a bit of sentimentality now and again. So, but yeah, we didn't get it.
I think the other issue I had with Twice Upon a Time, and this isn't like anything to do with the sexism, is that I didn't like the music in it. I felt like a lot of it was like used like the Ninth Doctor's theme or like Rose's theme, and it just seemed really random kind of in that episode.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I can't remember it. I mean, I know it's Murray, so you can, but I think
it was his last episode, wasn't it? So I think he was trying to do like a little swan song with, I think, what is it, Tennant's Regeneration music's in it as well at one point.
I do love the music when 12 regenerates. I don't know if that's reused. That sort of progression of dun, dun, dun. I think it has been in it before.
That was the Breaking the Wall one, I think. From
Heaven Sent. Yeah.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
You're probably right.
That's good, yeah. But I think there's one bit where the Ninth Doctor's theme comes in, and I suppose it just seems random that it's like
Bill. I seem to remember that. Yeah.
Bill's talking
after Jodie appears. Yeah.
No, I think there's another bit, isn't there, before when the First Doctor and Bill are talking, and Rose's theme comes. I don't know, but I seem to remember
that was a weird one. That had loads of little bits of Murray's music in.
Do you think it's strange that I was just thinking this as we're talking? I was thinking, like, because now at the minute, especially, it's very hard to criticize Doctor Who or say anything bad. But
Yeah.
do you think it's odd that as fans we spend so much time focusing on the negative? And
I was just thinking
I'm
that.
absolutely putting myself in
Yeah.
that bracket because I do it all the time, and obviously if you go on Twitter, and I think, why do you think that is? Is it because we love it so much and we just see things the way we want them, and does that make us entitled as fans? You know what I mean? Does that make us seem like we should know better, or why do you think it is that we?
I think what
it's
it is.
It's got to be passion with most of us, isn't it? It's not.
Yeah.
I think what it is.
I hope anyway. I hope that's what it is.
It's like when you buy a new table and it's got one little scratch on it. You're gonna keep looking at that scratch, aren't you?
Oh well, I'm the worst for
like
that.
A box set. It's like when you go to
a
H&V.
dented box set, yeah.
And it's like you always focus on that tiny little bit, even though the rest of it's fine and there's hours of great stuff on there and the box looks amazing, the rest of it. But there's one little tiny dent or a little scratch, and you focus on that. And I think that's the same thing with Doctor Who. There's a great, canvas of 50 odd years of Doctor Who, and we always focus on like the little kind of bits that perhaps writers put in and didn't realise if they were offensive or they were they don't work in the context or the comedy doesn't work. And I just think as fans, and I don't think it's just necessarily Doctor Who, and I don't think it's necessarily anyone that has a passion. I think it's just humans in general just kind of always focus on the negative. I don't know.
No, I think you've nailed it there, Pete, because it's a bit like if you upload a YouTube video, you could get 70 thumbs up and 1 thumbs down.
And
what do you focus on?
Yeah.
The 1 thumbs down. You're like, who's that 1 thumbs down? It's weird, isn't it? You sort of, the positive goes out the window. You just automatically focus on the thumbs down.
Yeah. It's weird,
just human nature. Yeah. No, I just wonder, because it is a show we all love, and I just think it's strange how we spend so much time talking about the bad. And also, I think you always have more to say about the bad. Like
more passionate.
Because when we're reviewing an episode on the podcast, sometimes if we're reviewing one that we both love, it's very hard to find stuff to say about it sometimes, because you just kind of like, it was really good, and then there's a pause, and so the actors were good, and it's if something's positive, you don't seem to have as much to say about it. Whereas if you're negative, you can absolutely pull it to bits, if that makes sense.
I suppose the thing is as well, obviously we have a passion about Doctor Who, so we love Doctor Who. So the majority of Doctor Who we're going to enjoy. So a lot of it we do enjoy, and not another word needs to be said about it. But when something's bad, it stands out a little bit, and you know what I mean? If Doctor Who was a show we didn't like and there was one bit we thought was good, maybe we'd pick that. You know what I mean? I don't know.
No, absolutely know what you mean. Yeah, I mean, would you say you preferred classic Doctor Who to the sort of newer stuff, or do you see it all as one, or do you have a sort of preference on that? Because there is definitely a different style. There's no, Doctor Who was, the classic series is much slower, but it's spread out over 4, 6, 7 episodes, 10 if you're watching the War Games.
Yeah.
So but do you have a preference, or do you just see it as all one series and you like and dislike what you do?
I mean, I'll just go before Dan. I prefer the classic one.
You do?
Yeah, I think a little bit is because a lot of them I have memories of before I got into new stuff. And I think apart from the Russell years, I'm not a massive fan of the new stuff, really.
Well, not even Eccleston?
Oh, no, sorry, I mean apart from the Russell.
Russell years, sorry.
Yeah. So I suppose, and the thing is with classics, I don't know, I just feel like there's, like I was watching the Hartnell ones, and I've been watching them a lot recently, and I just feel like there's no harm, that like there doesn't seem to be anybody that attacks the Hartnell, you know what I mean? There's no discussion. Like you watch them and there's no, like, you don't watch it thinking, oh, everyone hates this one. I mean, I know there's some that people don't like, but like you watch a Jodie one now and everyone's either loving it or hating it. Yeah, everyone's got an opinion on it. Whereas I can stick a Hartnell in, sit back and relax without thinking, oh, I remember when this came out and everyone hated this. And
yeah, I kind of get what you mean, and it's weird because I sometimes think, am I guilty of looking back on stuff with rose-tinted glasses? Because I'm a lot more forgiving with the classic series, and I have no idea why. And I think a lot of people are. Like, so for example, if you get an actor in one of the classic episodes that's really over the top and bad, so say like
Eldrad in Hand of Fear that I was watching the other day, he's very over the top.
Eldrad?
Yeah. The male version that comes in the last part.
Oh, right, yeah, of course, yeah. Well, I was thinking of, I've forgotten the guy's name, Leslie something from Horns of Nimon, Yeah. He's really chewing the scenery, but I love him, and I'm sort of thinking it's weird, because if that was someone in the new series,
yeah,
I'd probably be, absolutely ripping them to shreds, saying, "Oh, he was awful," and because a lot of people criticised Alan Cummings, didn't they, in the
Witchfinder one? Yeah.
Witchfinder one? But some people loved him. Some people said, "Oh no, God, he was really over the top." And I think it's weird how forgiving I am with the classic series, and I don't know why that is. I think I just see it as part of the charm of that era. Sort of the theatrical style of performance that we used to get compared to now, where everything's made to be so realistic. You know what I mean? Like the classic series is more like watching a filmed play.
Yeah,
in the
it's
early
like the
days,
lower
whereas
production values give it a charm, I think.
Yeah,
I think the thing is, like you said before, like we definitely look at it through like rose tinted like spectacle. Like we always see it through that, and like I remember like. I know Dan won't say anything negative about Matt because that's the area he's passionate about, and I won't say anything negative about Eccleston and sort of Tennant as well to an extent. And the thing is, like I was watching, like I say, I've been getting people at uni to watch an episode from each Doctor, and I stuck on Hand of Fear the other day. I was like, oh, it's great, this one, guys. It's Sarah Jane's last story. It's fantastic. It's the best thing ever. And I remember it being really fast paced as well. We put it on, and I was just there watching it, thinking, I'm not gonna lie, even I'm finding this a little bit hard going. I think it's because we watched all 4 parts together, which I don't think helps. But
it's always different when you watch something with someone else as well. It's you suddenly
kind of watching
notice
them watching it.
Yeah. You kind of don't know. You notice stuff that you didn't notice when you're watching it on your own, and things seem slower because you, like you said, you're watching it for them somehow, thinking, oh no, they're finding this bit really slow
But it was the hardest thing, like just going into briefly my other podcast, which I haven't released yet if anybody's listening to this. But like it was really hard, like thinking of a Tom Baker episode to choose because I wanted to show Genesis, but I thought I can't really put 6 parts on for them because they won't sit through, and I can't really arrange 2 separate days to watch 3 parts in 2 goes because that's just awkward booking it out of the room. So I thought I'll show them City of Death because that's another popular one. But then I thought I don't know if necessarily the new generation will get its quirks and will get its.
Well, no, because I remember when the Who Addicts did that as their live retro stream, and everyone was like, "Yes, they're doing City of Death."
Yeah,
and Liv was she just couldn't get into it, and everyone was like, "But it's City of Death. It's brilliant. It's funny, and sometimes it just doesn't connect with people."
I was worried about that, so I thought I'm not going to show them that one. So in the end, I went for Hand of Fear because I wanted to show them the Sarah Jane one first of all, because I thought then they've got the connection with the Sarah Jane Adventure, which probably a lot of them had seen. And I'm on the weird kind of thing where I'm not a massive fan of a lot of Tom Baker stories. What? Like I think they're good, but I think a lot of them are overrated.
Tim's fat in world.
Like I saw them on the shelf and I was looking at them thinking, I know a lot of people like Brain of Morbius, but I just find it really dull and.
I love Brain of Morbius.
One of my favourites actually is Seeds of Death. Again, Seeds of Doom, sorry, but that's 6 parts, isn't it?
It's brilliant.
So I thought I can't show them that with you. So all the good ones are like 6 parts, and like a lot of them I've seen too many times, so I didn't want to sit there like.
That's my problem with Tom.
Yeah, like Revenge of the Cybermen I've seen a lot of times. I know a lot of people don't like that one.
So I was having this problem recently with the collection box sets because I've wanted to watch all of them, like every episode, and do like season marathons. But I really wanted to get started on 18 the other week, but I hadn't finished Genesis and watched Revenge. But I just couldn't bring myself to watch them, so I've just skipped them and gone straight to Leisure Hive because I've seen them so many times as a kid. I could just like recite it word for word. I'm just fed up with it. But I always feel bad because Genesis is an absolutely fantastic story.
Yeah.
But I just can't bring myself to watch it unless I'm like really in the mood because I've just seen it so many times.
Yeah, I actually think a lot of Tom's later ones are better than his early ones. Like I'm a big fan of like kind of Graham Williams, kind of that middle era with like Leela and stuff. And I know a lot of people like the Sarah Jane ones, but I'm not a massive fan of like the gothic feel of them. I don't know. I still like them, but they're not anything amazing for me.
Yeah,
maybe I need to rewatch them. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know because Leisure Hive. I mean, the season 18 has got a different feel to it, obviously, because of J&T coming in as producer and stuff, and it's quite a conscious sort of different feel. Whereas I think Graham Williams was sort of under a lot of restrictions to tone down the.
I think Tom Baker was.
Violence.
I think he was quite. From what I hear, I think Graham Williams was quite a shy man, and Tom Baker kind of used, kind of got a lot of stuff into the scripts because he was. He was very powerful. You got to remember, Tom Baker was quite a powerful guy at the time.
At that point, he'd been doing it for a few years.
But looking back on season 18, and I haven't watched much of it. I've only watched like part 1 of Leisure Hive because I've been so busy. But I actually think a lot of that. I look through the episodes in that season, and I really like it. I'm just not a massive fan of Lala Ward. For some reason, she just. I think it's more Lala Ward than Romana actually, but I can't gel with her.
Really?
Yeah.
I was watching the Leisure Hive with my mum, and my mum was taking the piss out of her acting. which I don't think she didn't know who Lala Ward was. And there's a scene where Tom comes out and he's all old, and she just like does this thing where she covers her mouth and shock, and my mum just started laughing.
Yeah.
So she just thinks Classic Who's got crap acting.
I mean, the thing is, I mean, we love our little show so much, but when you actually take a step back and think about it, a lot of the acting in it isn't great. You know, let's put our hands in the air now and say a lot of, especially the classic stuff. I think a lot of, I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think that's a pretty big generalisation to me. Yeah.
Well, I think sometimes the supporting cast and stuff, you could say that. I think that's the thing that holds it together. Is I think the Doctor's always been strong. So Tom, I think, is always just giving a great performance. So even if the cast around him aren't very good, I think he kind of holds it together.
Maybe that was too harsh on me, but you know what I mean. I think as fans, like you said before, we kind of look at it as the best thing ever, and I think we've got to kind of take a step back sometimes. And but like I said, I prefer classics anyway. So
yeah, well, I mean, I love both, but I suppose I'm sort of more.
It's your era, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna say there's more of a nostalgic side of it with the classic era for me, because I mean, I just, you know, I guess I grew up with the end of Tom, but mainly Davison, so I love rewatching his stuff. I drifted off. I mean, I watched all of Colin's, but I didn't connect with him.
You met Colin Baker as well as a kid, didn't you? As well in the newspaper.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So in fact, I mean, you know, so many. You know how times have changed. Colin used to live near me.
Yeah.
And he did a charity thing. Yeah. Close to where I live, and I don't know how old I was, but yeah, I got to meet him and get an autograph and
Didn't
stuff.
Charge you 20 quid for it?
No, not that I remember. And I think because I was probably the biggest Doctor Who fan in the queue, I held it up for ages talking, and the press took a photo of us, and I was in the paper with him. But what I was going to say, how times changed, because I remember he gave me his home address to. I don't know why. I think
have you
I
still
sent
got it?
him. No,
He probably moved house,
not.
hasn't he, as well?
Yeah, he's definitely moved since. But I think I was telling him that I'd made his costume or something. I said, I've made your costume. I've spent, weeks doing it. And he was like, send me some pictures or something. I can't remember what the details were, but he gave me his home address. I sent him whatever it was.
Was that before emails then, I guess?
Way before.
In the dark ages.
But talking of losing stuff, I remember I got this lovely letter back from Colin with like proper BBC headed paper with a TARDIS on each edge of the paper, and I was absolutely, like, you can imagine, just so pleased that it's like, oh my god, Colin's written back, and look, it's on BBC paper with a TARDIS on it. And I'll never forget, my mum said, yes, we'll put that in a safe place, and we have never ever seen it since. God, I wish I knew what happened to that letter.
They might find it in Nigeria in 50 years time.
Get
expect the unexpected. The wind's blowing in the right direction, Adam.
Ask Philip Morris if he can find that, because I'd love to have that letter. But it got lost so quickly as well. I just remember it was literally like the same week that I got it. It was put in a safe place, and then we could never find it again. Almost as if it didn't exist. Perhaps it was a dream.
Yeah. So obviously, like that means a lot to you, that letter. I suppose another thing I can go on to now is, I remember a few months ago there was a thing going around on YouTube which was watch the most like prized possession. I don't think you did a video on it, did you? Or did you? No,
I didn't actually. No, I didn't.
Should we go into that? And do you want to talk about what your most prized possession is? Or
one of the reasons I didn't do the videos because I couldn't choose. I've got 30 plus years of collecting, because I mean, as I said, this show's gripped me since I can remember, and I have been buying merchandise and getting emails and meetings people from the show all through my life. So I've got, without sounding big-headed, I've got some amazing stuff in my collection.
I mean, your room tour's crazy. I remember when I saw that video.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't, and I'll tell you, honestly, you didn't. I didn't even scratch the surface. I've got it's just everywhere, like every cupboard, everything that and as I said, it drives me over half mad because it's just everywhere.
That's the one good thing about having a dad that's into Doctor Who as well, though, because I've got all his old Doctor Who Target books and BBC books on the shelf. And
we used to argue about that in high school. He'd be like, "Oh, I've got more DVDs." No, you don't. Your dad has them.
Yeah.
I love the Target books. I've got the newspaper clipping, actually. I mean, that's quite a prized possession. The one with Colin, my nan, because that was another thing that was lost. It's like put in a drawer, keep that safe, gone.
Lost. Yeah.
And I remember my nan, bless her, saying, I've still got this of you in a drawer. And I was like, oh, can I have that? Because I haven't got it. So I have actually got the newspaper.
Have you photocopied that? Have you got a digital
I've
copy
scanned
of that?
it. Yeah. Thank
good.
goodness for technology. It's scanned, and I've also got the picture of me, however old I was, sat with Colin.
Yeah.
So it's all scanned.
Awesome.
It's on a Polaroid as well. It's on whoever was doing the photo shoot. It was taken on an old Polaroid.
What?
Camera. Yeah. So I've still got it, and he signed it. That was the cool thing. It printed it out of the front of the camera. You know what I mean? Those Polaroid cameras. So it prints it out straight away. You sort of shake it about a bit, waiting for the colours to go through, and then he signed it. Yeah. So that's quite a prized possession. More for sentimentality. It's a really nice thing to have as a fan, I think.
Yeah. Dan, what's your prized possession? Have you got anything? Or
don't know. I was trying to think then. I was like,
do you want me to say mine? Because I've actually got one at the top of my head here.
I've got something I think I'd say. That's Doctor Who related, which is my Tom Baker scarf. Because that was before you could buy the Lozerari one or whatever the company's called. That was knitted for me by my nana when I was in high school. Cause she just started getting into knitting, bought all these knitting things, and
have you got an anecdote about your grandma that you might want to say on this podcast about Elizabeth Sladen? Does that ring a bell?
Oh yeah, I can bring that up later.
Is that a thing? Yeah, I didn't make that up, did I? That's
no. Anyway, my nana,
we'll come back to that.
My nana knitted me a Tom Baker scarf. It was like sized to child me, so it's quite short now. But she passed away not long after, so that scarf's got a lot of sentimental value for me.
Yeah.
And I don't wear it outside much, but I do sometimes put it on watching it.
Did you wear it on the day we saw Tom Baker?
Yes.
Yeah.
I took that because that was like a dream of mine to wear it with Tom Baker.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably one of the things that means the most to me.
Did you put it around him on the photo or not?
I can't remember.
Because I did that and I strangled him, which is a bit awkward. There's a picture, you can see it on the picture, he looks a bit strangled.
Yeah, so. I think I did, because I was like, I want Tom to have worn this.
Yeah. So do you want to go into that little story then, if you think it's worth telling?
There's not much to say, really. My great aunt used to be Elizabeth Sladen's manager. And she there's a little bit in Liz Sladen's autobiography where she talks about her, Jenny Smith, she's called. But yeah, it's not much to tell. Well, now. No, because you're probably in a weird spot.
No, because I remember you telling me about it in primary school, and I'm being like, "Wow, this is big stuff." This Dan, like, let's tell people about this. And then like I forgot about it until literally right now, and I think that's quite a nice.
That was my early claim to fame.
Yeah.
Now our claim to fame is our YouTube channel.
200 subscribers.
People.
Yeah. Most of them me. Right, so my prized possession, I guess. I'm going to go for two. I'm going to be a bit cheeky with this one. So number one is, do you know the BBC book The Vault that came out a few years ago?
Yes, great book, actually.
I've taken that to conventions probably since 2017, which I know isn't a long time, but I've been to quite a few in that time. And I've got it signed by pretty much everyone I've been to conventions with. There's 40 autographs in there now. And it's building up, and I think one day it'll be a really nice little... archive of Doctor Who autographs, and it'll look really nice. And yeah, so that's my first one.
That's a nice one, yeah.
And then my second one, and this won't mean anything to anyone else, but I went to a Doctor exhibition in, I think, Brighton, or Blackpool maybe, in 2005, when Eccleston's series had just ended. I think it was August 2005. And I had the little programme for it. And it's a few pages long. It must be about 10 pages long. But it goes through all the Eccleston episodes. I think the first 6 episodes of Eccleston, a little guide to the first 6. And I read this cover to cover. You can see the creases in. This is what my little Doctor Who Bible. It's these 10 pages, and then I kind of wore that out a little bit. And I got into they brought out some books called like Monsters and Enemies, I think, as well.
Oh, I had those.
Which
I used to
read them. Yeah.
And they had like classic monsters in at the time, like. Because I didn't use the internet much, aged 6. That was like the whole of a world of like, oh, look at what the past looked like.
Yeah. I remember
that was a time machine. That book.
I remember seeing photos of stuff like, I can't think of any examples, but like Invasion of Time. I'd see pictures of that and be like, that looks amazing. And I'd watch it and be a bit like, it's good, but it's not.
I distinctly remember seeing like pictures of the Macra. Yeah. And that's always been like and
then finding out it was missing.
Yeah, and then find out more and more about it.
And they used to have like you say, guides to like Power of the Daleks on one page. You're like, I'd love to see that, and then find out it wasn't there.
And there was a bit about how they built the prop of the Dalek as well, and that stuff.
They were great books. Me. Yeah.
I can relate to that. I was going to say they are. It's nice because I can remember seeing the giant robot like a black and white picture in a Doctor Who book way before I saw the episode, and like you said, you build up in your mind what this could be, don't you? Start putting the story together, and it's like, yeah, sometimes it's a disappointment when you actually get to see it.
Yeah,
because I didn't have obviously we would have had like a VHS or a DVD player in the house, but the idea of going out and buying an episode of classic Doctor Who was just alien to me, because it was just this show on TV with Eccleston. So for me, it doesn't matter what was missing, what wasn't. That was all Doctor Who for me. These couple of books, Aliens and Enemies, Monsters and Villains, that was classic Doctor Who for me. That's how I learned about it, just reading little sections about Ice Warriors and Zarbi and things.
Yeah. No, it's good. They're good books. Yeah, and they have a lot of pictures of people you like. I remember I think the last one, the fifth one of those books was Companions and Allies. And I took that one with me everywhere, because that one actually had an episode guide to every episode in it, like a short thing of who was the director, who was the writer, who was in it. And in that book, there's like a colour photo of like Vicky or like Sarah Kingdom. And like, I think I probably got that when I was about 11. So that was like, I'd never seen these pictures before, or these people. I didn't know who they were. So it was great kind of learning about all that. And I kind of changing the subject here a little bit, but I managed to watch all the episodes before the 50th, which was quite nice. I remember on the actual day of the 50th, I went round to Dan's and we watched Screaming the Shalka, didn't we? So I'd officially watched everything, because I think we watched a few, didn't we? We watched all the anniversary
Unearthly
specials. Child, 3 Doctors, 5 Doctors, Remembrance, not Remembrance,
Silver
Nemesis,
Dimensions in Time,
Screaming the Shalka. Yeah, so we watched all the anniversary ones, which was quite nice. And then
Day of the Doctor.
Yeah, well, and Dan saw that in cinema, but I didn't, because I felt like it was like, this wasn't my decision, this was kind of more my dad's, but I agree with him here. It was more of a family event. We wanted to be at home, and like every week, we'd always sit there, and it was just nice sitting at home and watching.
Wore that Tom Baker scarf to the 50th screening.
I bet it was great. You saw it in cinemas, didn't you, Adam?
No, I didn't. No, I was at the 50th at XL, so
even better.
I was watching it in a hotel room.
There's people holding up Sonics at the beginning, like before it started. The thing I love about that is, I wish I kept the ticket. I was in seat K9.
Oh no!
I wish I had
kept it. Oh wow!
Was that intentional, or was that?
Yeah, my dad did that.
That wasn't a coincidence.
Oh right, that's awesome.
No, I bet it was great. And when Capaldi came on, that would have been fantastic. I mean, I remember the XL convention.
Oh yeah, that was crazy.
Was the big 50th one, wasn't it, Adam?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember not even bothering to ask my dad if we could go, because I just thought he's never going to... Because at that stage, I think I'd been to 2 conventions in Manchester, and even when he used to go to conventions back in the day, he'd never really go to them in London. He never used to go to the big ones. I mean, when he went to conventions, all the autographs were free. It was a different world back then. Like, you never used to pay for any autographs.
I know, yeah.
Which I think he misses, and I wish I'd gone during those glory years and meeting, Michael Cray's signing and getting 6 autographs or whatever with him for free. But anyway, yeah, so I didn't even bother asking him if I could go to this XL convention, because I thought he'll say no, it's too far away and it's too expensive and all that. And then after the 50th, he said to me, Peter, why didn't you ask if we could go to that? I would have taken you. It's a great opportunity. And I was just there like, you what? So that would have been a great one to go to. And I wish I'd gone to that, really. But yeah.
It was good. It was very similar to the festival they did the year or two.
And that as well, I wish I'd gone to that. That looked great. Because Capaldi was there, wasn't he?
Yeah, Capaldi was there, yeah. And I think Matt was at the 50th one. Yeah, he definitely was, actually, yeah. Yeah. What did you guys think of the actual episode Day of the Doctor? Did you think it was a good celebration of 50 years?
I love it. It's one of my favourites.
I like it. I think the only issue I have with it, and this isn't anything that could have really been helped, because obviously he didn't want to come back, but I wish Eccleston was in it. That's my one thing, because he's my Doctor, and I think it would have been lovely. Even if we'd we'd come back just for the regeneration scene from John Hurt, just for that one, a day's filming or a morning's filming.
That would have been interesting.
And I remember when I first watched it, you see the first bit of the regeneration, don't you, into Eccleston? And I was there jumping out, going, we're going to see Eccleston, this is going to be so good. My childhood Doctor will be back on screen. And then he just fades away, doesn't it?
Yeah,
and
that was
a
bit
shame.
I Tom Baker's John Hurt was good, though. I feel like, Eccleston's great, and I know you love him a lot more than I ever could, but I don't know, I feel like it would be a missed opportunity if we didn't have John Hurt there. I think he did such a great job.
I think he did a great job.
Such an interesting character as well.
And part of me thinks we should have had McGann as well, but yeah.
I definitely think we should. Even if they'd have started it with the
Night of the Doctor, or if we'd had 8 War, 10 and 11, if we'd had 4 Doctors.
I guess it's overstuffing it then again.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, I remember at the time I was like, I'm gonna hate it if it's not all 11.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're saying about the regeneration. They spoke about that at the 50th. I think it was like one of the effects guys was on stage, and he said they filmed more. He said we actually filmed the full going into Eccleston, but we decided to cut it. And I was thinking, why?
Yeah.
And I think Moffat said because Chris said he didn't want to be in it. I said, then he won't be in it. So, but I never knew if he meant that as in like,
Well, surely if they showed any more, they'd have to get like the rights to it, and
probably. Well, it depends.
Unless it counts as like archive footage.
Yeah, yeah. But then I suppose it's a bit different because Peter Cushing was dead. But when Rogue One came out, would they have had to get the family's rights for that?
Yeah, they did.
Did they? Okay.
Okay, yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
I think it would. This is the thing. I just think it would have been great because obviously he's my Doctor, and having that initial scene of him, even if it's just him going, "Look at the ears" or something. You know what I mean? I think it would have been amazing. And
I was
saying fantastic.
Disappointed. Yeah, I was disappointed when it cut. I remember at the time being like, "Oh no," because it was such a big moment. Yeah.
But I think apart from that, it's a great special. I think probably the Zygon stuff's probably not as good as it could be. But then again, we get Zygon Invasion like 2 years later, which kind of makes up for it. But I think it's great that the one good thing that Moffat did with it is he didn't cram too much into it. I think you could very easily have said, right, let's put all the Doctors in, let's put all the companions in, let's make this a 5 Doctors thing. And 5 Doctors is obviously great, but I think you kind of have to, sometimes it works if it's more subtle. And I think it was nice to have that all 13 scene which celebrated that, but I think, and you still got the classic references, you've got the Black Archive, you've got Zygons, you've got Reverse Polarity, you've had this place redecorated, so you've got a few things in there.
Yeah.
One thing that I wish they'd done is I wish they'd had a scene with William Russell in Coal Hill, or they'd made the moment kind of transform into different, mess up a little bit and transform into different people, and had like Carol Ann Ford back for a little bit playing the moment, or you know what I mean, just something a bit like that. I don't know.
I would have loved that. I've been really hoping Susan would make an appearance, and William Russell actually. Yeah. Those are the two characters. Even if it was just like a nice cameo or something, I think the 50th would have been the time to do that.
And again,
that would have been a nice idea actually with the moment.
Yeah. And again, I just think it gets to this point where it's like they've kind of probably missed the opportunity now for William Russell. I think I've heard rumours that he's retired from Big Finish.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if, I think we missed that opportunity. But
yeah,
I definitely wish he would have been at least in Series 8 or 9 when they were in Coal Hill, or even in Class.
Yeah.
And the thing with the 50th is that dude that comes in when Clara's there and she's like, "Oh, there's someone here for you." They could have just got William Russell to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a lot of there was a lot of opportunity, I think, for him to be in it. I was going to say he was going to be in, what's the Davison one? Black Guardian trilogy. Yeah, because he was supposed to be. It turned out to be the big deal, and I think it was because William Russell couldn't do it for work commitments or something. But that was going to be.
Wasn't there a story, Pete, you said where Ian and Barbara just turn up at the end, like they just see
the massacre.
TARDIS.
Yeah,
is it
yeah, I think because that's Dodo's first scene, isn't it? At the end of the massacre, Dodo was meant to run into the TARDIS, and then Ian and Barbara would see the TARDIS dematerialise and then turn around and make a little joke or something. Yeah. Which I think would have been interesting, because like I said on the other, we talked about this in the other podcast a little bit, but it would have been nice to have that kind of like ending for them and to show that they actually got back. I mean, we know they got back obviously to 1965. But it would have been nice to have that closing scene.
London 90s.
I did love all the build up. Do you remember the awesome like the 50th trailer they kept showing with all the graphics of like the
brilliant.
Fourth Doctor floating with Jedi? It was a great.
I still watch that sometimes.
Actually.
The music in that's
What's
great.
that one? Sorry, all 13 scene.
No, the 50th trailer.
Oh, that was great, yeah. But for some reason, like, Pertwee looks really weird in that trailer. I'm not sure if that's just the way they've done CGI or, like...
I always thought Hartnell looked a bit strange.
Yeah.
Because it's like that side... But I do love that.
The only thing I don't like with that trailer is it spends a lot of time on 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then it kind of just zooms through the rest.
Yeah, it's almost as if they started it, and we're like, oh, we've got to get this finished, and then, like, quickly... I always thought that.
And the other thing, and this is very much a fan little pet peeve, but I always find it annoying that they put 4 before 3 in it. Because they go 1, 2, 4, 3.
Yeah, you're right. I probably did notice, but I hadn't thought about it. Yeah,
it's a small thing that annoys me.
It's probably going to annoy me now when I rewatch it.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, it's a good point actually. I know it's going really off topic, but I've just got to quickly ask you: have you seen and do you like the Cushing movies, because you mentioned Peter Cushing earlier, and I'm always intrigued because so many Doctor Who fans that I talk to are like, oh no, I know of them, but I haven't seen them. But have you guys watched both of them?
Dan, you can go first.
No.
Really? Okay.
Sorry. They're always. I was talking to my mum about it just at this weekend. I don't know. I keep needing to get around to them. I just never do. I don't own them in any form, so I always forget they exist, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people do. That's why I asked. Yeah. What about you, Pete?
Because I'm doing my Hartnell marathon at the moment. I don't know if you know, but I'm doing like a TV, book, audio, comic marathon. I've been doing it for like 2 years.
When you haven't got any time on your hands.
But I've been doing it for like 2 years. So I've done the first one. I did that just after. So what I did was I compared the first Dalek one and I watched the film, and I quite like. I think I prefer the film version of the first Dalek episode. Because I think the Daleks is just too long, 7 parts.
I imagine the pacing's a lot different.
Yeah. I actually had a lecture at uni, and they said, right, now we're going to watch a bit of Doctor Who just to compare what moving from TV to film can do to a franchise. And they put on a clip of the Daleks and a clip of the Dalek movie, so I was like, oh, this is great. And I do think they are good films. I've only seen the second one once. I was actually planning on watching it tonight, but it's getting a bit late now, so I don't think I will. But yeah, I think they're both good. And I don't remember a lot about the second one, so I'll have to rewatch that at some point over the weekend or whatever. Or whenever
go and watch the second one and take Dan with you.
Yeah, I'll watch both. We'll do a film night and we'll watch both of them at some point. Yeah.
You should, because I adore them.
They're harmless. I think they've got a nice little charm to them, haven't they?
Yeah, definitely. And I love the Daleks in them. I love the design. I think that I prefer the second one by quite a lot.
I prefer Dark Invasion, like the TV version of Dark Invasion versus the Daleks.
Well, yeah, I agree with you about the pacing. I mean, the TV one is a bit of a slog at 7 episodes, but
I love the trailer for the Dalek films as well. So loud, you can.
They're very 60s.
And I like the second
so colourful.
The boy with a knack, and he throws the knife.
And I actually love the music in, especially the second one and also the first one. Have you got the vinyl of that? I remember that came out for Record Store Day, didn't it? And I'm trying to get that on eBay at the moment because I really want to listen to it on like the full thing of it. But there's a great bit where I think Bernard Cribbins is with the Robo Men, and he's like kind of, I don't know, he's not dancing with them, but he's like trying to follow what they're doing.
I know exactly.
And it's a great little scene. I think Bernard Cribbins is great in that film actually.
He's fantastic in it. Yeah.
I want to watch
Tom
it now.
Campbell. No, honestly, it's brilliant. I love the second film.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the first one as well, but it's I don't know. You could sort of tell they were finding their feet as the characters. I think Peter Cushing's much more into it in the second film. I think you'll love it, Dan. Actually, I really do. It's
just completely random, isn't it, compared to TV series? But I think it's the Day of the Doctor. Yeah. The Day of the Doctor book does a great thing because it kind of like works it in, doesn't it, into the story. It says that they were like films made by Ian and Barbara.
Oh, right, that's it. I remember something about that. Yeah, I was going to say, I think there was a comic years ago, I think, that managed to make them canon somehow, and because it is slightly different. He's like a sort of professor who's built the TARDIS in his back garden in the films, and it sort of goes a little bit off.
I remember
story. Everyone
was trying to make it the Meta Crisis Doctor, the David Tennant Doctor. Everyone was saying it was him in the future, but I didn't like that theory. I don't know.
Oh, I hadn't heard that, but I guess
I'm not a massive fan because they just don't look similar, do they, David Tennant and I don't know.
Oh, I've just brought up the picture of I've got a page about the Doctor and Daleks film, and the poster showing all like these Daleks in a line coming out of a doorway. I do remember that quite vividly as a kid because I saw it in a model shop, and it reminds me of that Power of the Daleks clip, which was the first bit I saw. So I am getting a little bit of nostalgia just looking at that now, so I will have to go away and watch that.
Just going back to Day of the Doctor a second. Have you read the book of it, Adam?
Yeah, it's the Stephen...
the title book of it.
Yeah, I haven't actually, no.
No, it's quite good. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's some really, really lovely stuff in there with the curator and who he bumps into throughout the story, because there's a lot more of him in it.
Oh, is there? Okay.
There's a certain character... I don't want to spoil it for you, but there's a certain character from the Classic Who that the curator meets. And it's honestly, I don't cry to books, but I was close to tears with that because it's a lovely scene.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm glad you didn't tell me here because I haven't read it, but I do have it. This is the thing with me. I absolutely love buying books. I've got
loads
many
that I haven't read. Yeah.
But I'm such a slow reader. I mean, the last book I read was Scratchman, and I think it took me about 3 to 4 weeks. I'm such because I only read when I go to bed. So exactly I literally read and I think, it's 12:30, I should go to sleep. Yeah. But I've got a lot of books that
sometimes you're too tired to read as well, aren't you? I get into bed sometimes I'm like, my eyes are going to close. So,
But I will get round to it at some point.
Great.
Because I have got it.
It's quite short as well. So you can probably finish it in. Well, you say you're slow reading, but I think I finished it in like a day or something. And I'm a slow reader, so it's good though. It's a lot more.
Have either of you read Scratchman?
A lot more in it.
Not yet. It's on the list.
I started reading it. I think I probably read about a third of it, and it wasn't bad, but I just wasn't feeling it at times. I kind of gave up and started another book. But I will go back to it at some point and read it. But yeah.
That's interesting because with Scratchman, it's kind of like two different stories. So I actually really liked the first half, and then I found the second half kind of went off into this weird universe, and I was like, I think I preferred the first half. But it's interesting if you, I don't know.
Is Tom
finish
quite a
it
good
sometime,
writer?
see what you think. Well, I don't know how much. I mean, Tom's
I think James Goss would have done a lot.
Yeah, I didn't like to ask him when I met him.
That's
James
it just says Tom on the front, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because I've always that's what got me interested in reading it.
And James Goss has got a little. His name's in there, quite small, and Ian Marter's not mentioned at all. And I think the original idea was Tom and Ian. So it's a bit of an odd one. But I when I got to the end of it, I actually really enjoyed it. But it kind of, I don't know, it sort of went a bit up and down for me. That one. But I did love it by the time I finished it.
But I won it in a competition, so one day I will get to read it because since I won it. I've just found actually a quote from Stephen Moffat. You know how I said before that he doesn't like 60s Who? I've managed to find that interview, so I'll just read that out to you if you're interested.
Yeah, go on.
He says, I think the interviewer asks him, the interviewer says, but Doctor Who was on 40 weeks of the year in the Hartnell era. And he says, yes, but did you see the pace of those shows? They were incredibly slow, hideous. I dearly love Doctor Who, but I don't think my love of it translated into it being a tremendously good series. It was a bit crap at times, wasn't it? And then he goes on to say,
see that I got it. Yeah, I don't agree with him, but I've got. This is the thing I love about Stephen Moffat. Yeah, every interview I've seen him in, he just says what he thinks, and And
then he says later on, if you judge it as a light-hearted children's adventure serial for tea time, it's bloody amazingly good. But if you judge it as a high-class drama series, it's fallen a bit short. You can sort of see what he's saying there, but I still love it,
No, I can absolutely see what he's getting at, to be honest. But I don't agree with him, but I can see what he's saying. And
then this is the last bit I'll read out to you. The interviewer says to him that the interviewer hates the Davison era, and then Moffat says, "How could you? When I look back at Doctor Who now, I laugh at it fondly. As a television professional, I think, how do these guys get a paycheck every week? Nothing from the black and white days, with the exception of the pilot episode, should have got out of the building. They should have been clubbing those guys to death. You've got an old guy in the lead who can't remember his lines. You've got Patrick Troughton, who was a good actor, but his companions, how did they get their equity card? They're unimaginably bad. Once you get to the colour stuff, some of it's watchable, but it's laughable. Mostly now, looking back, I'm startled by it. Given that it's a tea time show, a children's show, I think most of the Peter Davison stuff is well constructed. The directors are consistent."
Surprised I haven't heard that before. That's quite controversial.
I was going to say, are you sure? Yeah, I think that's overly harsh, actually. I'm all for honesty, Stephen, but I think he's gone a bit far there. I always worry with quotes. Are you sure he's not being misquoted or exaggerated? I mean, where was this from?
I mean, I do remember reading this somewhere else before, but this is on a website here.
What website?
I mean, knowing Stephen, he probably did say that.
It was the 90s. I think it's an interview about the New Adventures, the books.
Yeah,
and I think it's probably in Doctor Who magazine. But I can't, if I have misquoted him there, I'm sorry, Stephen, if you're listening. But
maybe he's mellowed since then. Maybe he appreciates.
Well,
I
don't know, because he does speak his mind, so he may well have said it, but it does sound a little harsh.
Yeah.
I certainly don't agree with everything in that quote. Yeah.
But because I remember reading that and thinking that does sound harsh, but I forgot about it for ages, and I just found it.
Maybe had a couple of drinks,
before,
because I've
a class premiere,
we've all had a few too many drinks, and I remember like one of the chats we're in on Facebook where I'd come back a bit. I'd had a few, and we were talking about Jodie, and I remember like you said to me the next day, "Gosh, you were really laying into it." And I was like, "Was I?"
Because this was before, before the series had ended. Yeah.
Sometimes if you've had a few, it really lets the true emotions out. So I don't know. Maybe Stephen had a few.
Yeah, but as I say, if that's misquoted, fair enough. But that's what
Sorry, Stephen.
You can't trust everything you read on the internet. Well, that's what I've seen.
That is true. Yeah.
But yeah. Is there anything else anyone wants to say, or are we ready to wrap up?
Just that this has been wonderful and I've had fun.
Yeah. It has been really nice just to chat. Yeah, very randomly.
Laid back, yeah. Well,
I just had this vision of poor old Dan, because obviously I can't see you guys because you haven't got a camera. So before we started, Dan's just like, right, I've just got to go and sit in the corner. So this whole time we've been talking of just this vision of you with all the controls, like a big old 70s set with spinning tape wheels behind
like Davison in
You're not far off.
Case Ranzani cliffhanger.
Yeah. And then there's poor old Dan just sat in a corner.
We're sat on opposite ends of the room, and Pete's just covered in screens. I could see the top of his head.
How many screens have we got? I've got
Terribly
1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 computers around me. It's great, this studio. We can book it out and do whatever we want with it.
It's very intimidating. I just have to sit here quietly and get a word in every so often.
Yeah.
He glares.
Maybe one week I'll let you have a go on this, but I'm a bit of a control freak, so I think I'll let myself.
I have picked that up actually, Pete. you take control.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with that. No. You'll go far.
You're gonna play us out with Macro again, Pete?
Oh, I haven't even got any play out music. Should I find some now? Someone talk for a bit.
Make sure you don't get done for the old copyright. Don't go playing like I don't know.
We're next to the BBC building now, so I'll just knock on next door and just say, "Can you let us use this?" And and no one's going to care about the Macroterror music. What should we go out on? Is anybody got any requests?
I don't ask Dan. He'll pick some Morrissey or some really depressing.
Adam's been telling me about Radiohead.
Dan's never heard of Radiohead.
I've heard of them. I've just not heard them.
Yeah, same. I think I've heard the name, but I wouldn't know who it is.
No,
it's from the Dark Ages, I think.
I just don't know whether I should go and hear them.
Yeah. What should we do?
No, you shouldn't.
Put the
Dan.
60s,
honestly, don't.
Movies themes on.
Yeah, that's relevant.
Oh, that would be good.
Yes,
a bit of 60s.
Let's try and find it.
I can have a good taste.
Don't play that. There is a bit of music which is absolutely cracks me up from the Cushing films, and it's not on the soundtrack, and I'm not surprised. There is a bit where it goes mad towards the end. It's like and it's really out of key. Do you know the bit I mean? It's like when the Robomen are, well, no, you won't, Dan, but Pete, do you know the bit I mean? When the Robomen are like whipping people, and it's really, really like harsh music, but it's not on the soundtrack.
I'll try and find this music then.
Listen out for
Maybe
it.
I'll just get Adam to do it. That might be.
Yeah.
It's good enough.
No, I'm not doing. I want to hear that. No,
you can do the Mac music for us.
Get the Macro out your head.
Right. That's Genesis.
Is Macro any good, Adam?
Yes, it is actually. Yeah, I can't say too much because we're going to review it very soon on the podcast. But yes, I enjoyed it.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, I found the music now, so we're ready to go. I think. I guess I'll put the music on, and we'll do a little outro. That's how podcasts work, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be the new Gary. I've done a good job today. I think
you need to grow a beard if you're going to be Gary.
Yeah.
You can't see.
I've got to shave my head.
I'll have to get tips on how he grows it because it's a very, very nice beard.
Yeah, it's very manicured, isn't it? His beard.
Yeah. You can have that on a frame. Little compliment. Right. I'll just turn the thing on. I'm hoping this is what you wanted.
It's going to be Cher or something, isn't it? Do you believe?
Is anything happening or not? I don't think. Is it on? I can't hear anything. Oh, here we are. Something's happening. It's a vinyl, so.
Oh, right. Oh, my
word. On YouTube, yeah. Is it this?
It sounds like Captain's The Prisoner. Or Captain
this doesn't sound like Doctor.
It's definitely Dalek.
Oh, no,
yeah,
it's
actually,
for the first
yeah.
one. Yeah, it's for the first one.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's very James Bond. I like it.
It is a little bit, isn't it? What was I thinking of? Something in my head. I don't know.
Thunderbirds, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Something. It's very 60s, isn't it?
It reminds me of The Prisoner, but you guys probably don't know
with
what
the yellow, the white ball.
Yes.
Like float. Yeah, I remember you talking to Paul about that when we met you that time.
Oh right. Oh yeah. He loves it.
I think my dad bought the new version. I'm not sure the new version's as good.
Oh no, it's not.
Is it not?
It's in the desert. It's rubbish.
No.
No, you need the one filmed in Wales.
Big Finish do it now as well, don't they?
Yeah, they've taken it. Yeah.
Was the Prisoner the one that was filmed in what's it called?
Marion.
Yeah, where they filmed Master Mandragora. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Where I've been actually.
You've been there?
I think so. Yeah, as a kid. I don't remember going, but.
Oh.
Rightio then.
Thanks
for joining us,
Let's do
Adam.
the ending. Thanks for joining us, Adam. We're very grateful for you using your time when you could be eating or doing anything else.
I will be eating actually. That's the first thing I'm going to do when we finish.
What are you going to be having? Have you got any plans?
Yeah, pizza.
Oh, nice.
Same.
Let's come round to Adam's.
I knew we'd be recording late, so I was like, right, I need something I can eat make really quickly.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
question for you. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No,
No.
Hey.
absolutely not.
Right then, on
Right.
that beautiful note.
Well, remember to check it. Remember to check out Adam's channel, The Geeks Handbag, and check out the
Yes.
podcast he does every week called...
Big Blue Box Podcast.
Oh, you got it right this time.
Yeah.
That video on Twitter of you...
Oh, you should have heard the language after. Yeah.
All right. We all have outtakes on our channels. Yeah, so check out those two. It's a great podcast every Friday. It's kind of what inspired this podcast and our channel in general, really.
Cool.
Yeah. So next, well, I'm not sure when this will go out, but the next review you're doing is Greeks Bearing Gifts. I'm not sure if there'll be a few when this will be on out, but that's the next one.
That's
Which you've recorded already. Yeah.
I nearly told you what the next one was. I was going to say, then it's... but of course, you have to keep it a surprise. The next one's a Doctor Who episode.
Awesome.
Obviously.
Well, it's time to go because it looks like the music's running out. So, where's it coming back on? It's coming back on.
Oh.
Should we go for a bit longer? Right, well, we'll go for now anyway. So, thanks for joining us, Adam. It's been
Thanks,
great.
everyone.
And
It has been great. Yeah, cheers.
hopefully we'll do
Thanks for
another
having me
one.
on.
Yeah. See ya. Bye.
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 Bye.